Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the League of Europe YouTube channel for round 8 of the Formula 2 season. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Car Mentalist. I'll be taking you through Formula 2 proceedings as always, and as always, joining me in the commentary box today is QVR Daka. How are you doing, mate?
Thank you, Aidan. I'm doing very well. Hello, everyone, and welcome to round 8 of the championship. Coming to you from Britain, the Silverstone circuit. So looking forward to this one. Of course, a very iconic track. Now, as we do every other week, we are joined by a special guest, and this one is none other than a front runner in this series and also a co-commentator of mine. So looking forward to this one. It is Mr. QVR Verstappen. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm doing quite well. Happy to do this interview.
Brilliant stuff. So we'll just obviously run you through a few questions like we do with everyone else that's been in so far. So I think the first obvious question that you probably know that we're going to ask is how are you feeling about your season so far? It's fair to say that the season, you've had some ups, but you've had some downs as well. So how do you view your first part of the season?
Well, it's been a bit mixed, as you said, of course. Few races with damage, not setting a lap in qualifying or something. Then again, if you look at Austria last week, for example, I had some good pace, and I really enjoyed the battle with Larkin at that point as well. So yeah, it's been very enjoyable. Maybe it could be a bit higher in the championship, but it's fine as it is now.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say is that obviously you have had at times quite a frustrating first half of the season. Is it encouraging that even with all that, you're still sitting third in the championship? And do you think that you could potentially push on from that and maybe try and move away from the guys pursuing you, or even try and chase down the top two?
It's going to be difficult to chase down the top two. They're extremely quick and consistently at the top. But I do feel encouraged to see that I may be able to run away from the other guys a bit. Of course, Camel and Chill being all on my rear end the whole throughout the whole season, really. Ling has been there as well, and recently, of course, joined Peace. He's been extremely quick, I've got to say. So yeah, just enjoying the battle with those guys, of course, and everyone else on track as well.
Yeah, looking at the standings actually right now, you are level on points with your teammate Camboy, who I think is fair to say he's admitted himself that he's had a fairly similar season to you, in that he's had his ups and he's had his downs as well. Just looking at that battle really for third in the championship is really close from you all the way down to P's. As you say, there's only 35 points separating the 5 drivers, so you, Campbell, Ling, Chill, and P's. So is there, who do you think would you say is your biggest competition in terms of that fight for third in the championship at the moment?
I've got to go between two drivers, and that'd be Campbell and Peace. Peace just because he's joined most recently, and he's picked up good points every single race, basically. And Campbell, of course, yeah, he's been really quick, but just not as lucky at times. So them two, and of course can't rule out Chill either. He's really fast in these cars, as maybe mentioned before. But yeah, he's also one to look out for. And then Ling is, of course, the most consistent driver I've ever seen. So yeah, he'll always be there.
Yeah, thank you. A quick one just before you go. I know you're a busy man. So, how do you feel in these cars compared to the Formula One cars? How does the racing compare? Because we do see there's quite a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences. So, run through how different the experience has been for you so far.
Well, it's been a bit different. It's easier to battle a bit because the cars are a lot smaller, and there's more of a skill gap as well. But yeah, it's a bit more enjoyable. Maybe on pace-wise, I'm a bit less compared to the F1 cars, but it's more enjoyable, I'd say.
Brilliant. I've got one little thing from me just before we get ready for qualifying. Just before we get ready for one-shot qualifying today. What track on the rest of the calendar are you most looking forward to? What do you think is your best opportunity of getting that win of the next win of yours this season?
Looking at it could be Italy. That's usually a track that's usually suits me. So got to see that think I could get a win there.
Brilliant. Well, I don't know, Dan, have you got anything else you want to add just before we get going for the race?
No, that's all from me.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Verstappen, for joining us in the commentary box today. Every time we've had someone in the commentary box, their races have been slightly cursed. So fingers crossed the curse doesn't continue with you today. But again, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us in the interview for the interview today.
Right.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, cheers to Verstappen for joining us in the commentary box today. He's just going to leave and get ready for one-shot qualifying, which we'll be getting going in about a minute's time or so. But just going to run you through the standings just before we get going for today's race as well. So like we said, Verstappen currently running in third in the championship, equal on points with his Trident teammate Campbell on 169. Verstappen at the moment, though, is currently 70 points off a second in the championship. There is a big gap between them and the top two in the championship. Larkin still leads. After the Austrian round, he gained an extra 4 points on Toxic after Toxic's really late race drama in the sprint race last time out. Toxic is in second, 18 points further behind. Behind Verstappen and Campbell, you have Chill in fifth ahead of Ling in sixth, P 7th, Maverick 8th ahead of Gary 9th, and Danny Boy rounds off the top 10. And it's fair to say that the Austrian sprint race that we had last time out was probably the race of the season. Do you think that could get topped today?
Ooh, that's going to be a tough one, certainly. Of course, Breton, normally great track for racing, so looking forward to seeing how the drivers all get on. As of course, where the Formula 1 Championship came to be, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the Formula 2 cars shape up around this circuit. Of course, one of the most famous in the world. So looking forward to this one. One-shot quali will kick us off, and then, of course, our two races for the night. So now, as we load into the going towards the track now, I'm guessing now all there is to say is, let's get into it.
Let's get into it, and let's see as well what the weather's going to be like for Silverstone. It's usually going to be, if you think about any really Grand Prix weekend we've had at Silverstone, it's been wet at some point, so wouldn't be shocked to see if we have another wet race. It was our first really proper wet race we had last week. Actually, the sprint race wasn't really wet, was it? It was spinning with rain, but they were still on dry tyres, and it was a real struggle for a lot of people to keep the car on the track. Getting ready for one-shot qualifying today. Let's see who we ride on board with. But just before we get going for qualifying, who do you think's the best shot for a race victory today?
A race victory, well, I think you can always count on your two championship contenders, Larkin and Toxic, but I'm going to pick a driver to watch, and that's actually going to be Miami 5, because he's really impressed in the last two rounds. We'll see how that gets on, though, as now we're going to open up now for quali. Let's get into it.
Yeah, we're going to ride on board with Total Peas, who's been so impressive since he joined the championship midway through the season. We're riding on board with him as he goes through the first sector in the Campos car, up into the Farm Village section, just over a little rise in the track in the braking zone there, but nothing too much to worry about. Into the hairpin, probably the slowest corner on the track here, coming out and then down through Aintree and onto the Wellington Straight. Let's see what kind of speed he can pick up by the end of the straight. It's Campbell that's had a good first sector, along with Toxic and Larkin. P's not had the most competitive of first sector so far, as he crosses the first sector point, 30.5, and now through Brooklands and Luffield. Such a long corner, Luffield. You really have to wait to get on the power in these Formula 2 cars, not run too wide and hit the gravel on the exit. P's pretty much almost nails that coming out of the corner through Woodcote, which isn't really a corner to think about in qualifying or in the race as we head towards Copse, probably one of the most iconic corners on the track. Through the very fast right-hander, Schilt shifts down into fifth gear, runs a little wide and invalidates his time, unfortunately. We'll stay on board with Pease for the rest of the lap just to see what time he would have done. Through the Maggots and Beckett's complex, again a very famous section of track, through the part of Beckett's and then into Chapel and then onto the Hanger Straight. A 111.1 by the end of the second sector, under the bridge and then up towards Stowe. Uphill braking zone, so you can brake a little bit later here. Very common to see people running wide on the exit. Another easy place to invalidate if you haven't done so already. Through the corner, nice and neat from Pease as you now come into the final chicane, Vale and Club chicane. Make sure not to hit the sausage curb on the inside. Nicely stopped from Pease and through the final part of the track then into the double A of Club. He's going to cross the line, obviously with an invalid time, unfortunately. It's going to be Campbell on pole position for the first time this season by less than 200ths of a second. Brilliant lap time from Campbell, and Verstappen in third place as well. The jinx hasn't happened so far, but what a great start to the evening's proceedings for Trident.
Yeah, 1 and 3 in the qualifying, getting two cars onto the first two rows, and that is certainly going to be handy. Also, what a tight top three in general.
Wow.
We've seen it at times. Toxic has ran away with the quality sessions. It has not been the case today. So Campbell on pole, and he'll bring those 4 extra points there. Game on, I say, for the race.
Definitely game on. Campbell with his, I believe that's his first pole position of the season as well, if I remember correctly. Ahead of Toxic in second, Verstappen in third place, Chill in fourth in the second Prema. So it's Trident Prema on the front 2 rows. Miami, your prediction, in fifth place on the grid. Good qualifying from him. Ahead of J. Cole in sixth. Larkin, our championship leader, only seventh, but we've seen this a lot this season. Qualifying isn't his strong suit. Gary, JD Nolan and Philippe round off the top 10. Then it's Tun, Alex, Tim, Maverick, Freak, Jordan, Ryan, Pease, Elf and Ibo, who are rounding off the back of the field. Ryan, Pease, Elf and Ibo are the people that didn't set valid times, and of those, Pease is going to be trying to work his way through the field as much as he can, considering that his closest championship rivals are on the front few rows of the grid.
Definitely a lot of work to be done then, and it is a real chance for those Trident cars to really gain an edge in that. Of course, they're probably involved in a fight that they didn't expect to be in at the start of the season. Now, if they can convert that qualifying into some race results, then they could be seeing them beginning to jump away, as Verstappen says, trying to put distance between himself and the rest of the contenders. Campbell, of course, trying to move with him with a very important pole position here, with it standing so close in that part of the field. Looking forward to this one, Aidan. Should be a good one here at Britain Feature Race, and a unique front of the grid here. Looking forward to this one. What will the strategies be ahead of the race? So many questions, and they'll be answered in a few seconds' time when they get onto the grid and ready to race.
Who is going to be the first person on the grid to go for that alternate strategy? That's going to be key to this race. Just one thing to note about Silverstone tyre wear for a track with a lot of high load, high speed corners. Tyre wear here isn't really much of a worry. It's quite easy on the tyres, and a lot of the tyre compounds that are brought to this track are the harder set of compounded tyres. So you don't see a lot of tyre wear here. So you're going to see people pushing really from the outset. Let's have a look at people's strategies. Pretty much the majority of the field are going to be starting on the soft compound tyre. That's one thing to note as well. It's a 2-step tyre difference here, not the 1, it's the 2, so it's soft and hards. Tim in 13th is the first person on the hard tyres. Ryan and Elf, who are 17th and 19th on the grid, are the only other ones on the hard tyres. Everyone else choosing the soft tyres for the opening stint, which personally I'm a little bit shocked with, especially with Pease right at the back of the field. I would have expected more people to go for that alternate strategy.
Yeah, but of course they may know something that we don't. But I've noticed this trend actually across the season. At the start, you were seeing a lot of people are selecting the alternate strategy, even up the front of the field. And as the season's gone on, they really have switched to a more solid, starting on the fastest compounded tyre. So interesting stuff here. And of course, the lack of variety up at the front could lead to it being a more straightforward race, where it's a bit of a lap time battle to the end. As you mentioned, fairly low deck track, so don't expect the strategy to play too much of a role here, but keep an eye on those 3 drivers starting on those hard tyres. See if they can hang with it, maybe make progress and make charges near the end of the race. But as for the majority of the grid, they'll be on those soft, trying to make great gains early on. Keep an eye out for that. The battling for the first few laps, as always at Silverstone, should be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely, yeah, it should be. I've said absolutely first time in the stream. Take a shot every time I say absolutely, guys, for everyone that's watching. There's the first one of the stream so far, so keep a note of that. But yeah, the tyre difference as well here is going to mean it probably about at least a second in terms of lap time delta between the 2 tyre compounds. By the time the softs get to the end of this, it could be quite a lot bigger than that by the end. It could mean the likes of Tim, Ryan and Elf will have better speed at the end of the race, quite a marginally better speed than the people running on the hard tyres. Look for the people on the softs to be pitting around lap 5 or 6 in this race to then put the hard tyres on. The hard tyres can pretty much do a full race distance here, so they are very, very durable. We're coming up to start then the feature race here, 15 laps ahead of us at Silverstone, many overtaking opportunities, a great circuit, one of the best on the calendars, one of the best tracks on the calendar to race at, so this is going to be a really, really interesting race. It's Trident versus Prema at the front of the field, as it is in the championship. The top 2 teams in the championship line up on the front 2 places on the grid. We're just waiting for the likes of Elf and Ibo to round off the back of the field, as well as I believe that's Philippe just sliding into his grid slot as we get going then for the feature race. Philippe is in his grid slot in 10th on the grid. Here we go then for the feature race. Who is going to get the best start off the front of the grid? Can Campbell keep his lead into turn 1? Can Toxic take the lead and try and close in on Larkin in the standings? The lights are coming on ahead of the drivers. And the lights are out and away they go, and it looks a fairly even start at the front of the field. Toxic looks like he's had a brilliant start from second on the grid. Campbell still on the racing line around the outside. Toxic's going to sit the car up the inside. Campbell's going to try and hold it for the inside line for turn 2. He's going to keep the lead just about, as Toxic is really, really late on the brakes, coming down into the midfield section. He just slightly taps Campbell, who's a little bit sideways. He still has the inside line for the farm corner. Chill, meanwhile, is side by side with Verstappen, and Chill has a big wobble coming out of the corner and up towards Aintree. So he's going to lose out to Miami, who's had a brilliant start in the ART car, but Campbell just about holds on to the lead. One of the Arden cars wide in the background. That must have been Philippe a bit wide. Campbell holds on to the lead. He holds the inside line for Brooklyn's corner. Toxic trying all he can to get past the Trident man. Just can't find a way through. He's going to try and look around the outside, but that's going to leave him vulnerable to Verstappen on the inside. But there's not quite enough room for Verstappen to go for the move on Toxic. Jordan, unfortunately, is out for session. Chill's lost the car completely. Yeah, completely coming out of Luffield. He's lost the car on his own. He's not hit anyone or anything, so he's going to get away with no damage. But from 4th on the grid, he drops to Stone dead last. What a disastrous start for him and for the Prema team as well. Trying it right at the front of the field. They're now missing a car in this battle. Our Prema. Campbell still leads from Toxic and Verstappen. Miami is absolutely flying in 4th. He's caught the top 3 as well. Larkin's up into 5th place, so he's made good progress once again in the early phases of this race. Gary and JD Nolan are fighting for 7th. Gary holds on to that 7th place. Alex is in 9th. Philippe rounds fairly clean start throughout the field, not really any contact, and the only one really making
Toxic.
it. Or is he going for the move on Campbell round the outside? As Stowe is a little bit wide. There's more wheel banging between the two of them, coming up towards the Vale corner, down the inside. Toxic again really late on the brakes. Campbell will have the inside line though for the first part of Club. Can he hold it through the second part as well? It looks like he can through the corner. Toxic's going to try and keep it round the outside. There's not enough room. Campbell just about holds on, but again Toxic trying to look to the inside line for the first corner through Abbey. He's looking every which way trying to get through, but it's not happening at the moment for Campbell, for Toxic, I'm sorry. Campbell is holding off the places. Verstappen has a look down the inside of Toxic. There's not quite enough room. That's going to leave him vulnerable to Miami in behind, who is looking to try and make a move. Oh, Toxic again down the inside, but a bit more contact between the two of them. That's going to give Campbell a little bit of breathing space, and now it's Toxic under pressure from Verstappen behind. That's who he's going to have to look out for. Can Verstappen make it a Trident 1-2? Down into Brooklyn's corner. He's not quite close enough. Looks like Larkin is trying to have a look on Miami in the background as well, but there's not quite close enough. I've got to have a little bit of a break, because that is a fairly interesting start to the race. Very clean, and most of the people staying in the order they started in, apart from Chill. Chill, the only one not able to make it through the first lap without any issues.
Yeah, Chill dropping back after that mistake, and he's got a lot of work to do. We've seen it over the season, him making errors early on in races and costing him. But I will say, what a stern defence of the lead this has been from QBR Campbell, maintaining that race lead ahead of Toxic. But how long can he hold out at the front there? We saw Verstappen have his offences. He is looking for that one, and Larkin is right in there. Jaco hanging with it as well, and he's debuting in this league. He's doing a very good job. But Toxic coming back again, has much more momentum this time. Might just cruise past on the outside towards Stowe. Can Campbell hang in there though? He dives it down the inside, late braking from Campbell, but it might not be enough. It might well be enough though, because he's coming back on the exit, and they are level down towards the Vale Club chicane, and Leo the brakes. Toxic might just get it. He has got it there, and Verstappen trying to get to Campbell. Can't quite see him move there. Miami's tucked in. Larkin right there. What a fight in the opening laps here at Silverstone. But Toxic now your race leader. Can Campbell stay with him? Can Verstappen stay with it as well? It is remarkable up at the front, but 2 laps of pressure eventually coming good for Toxic. He now leads the race. Campbell has the second per second with DRS open though. Can he fight back?
Let's see if he can get him through entry and up towards the Brooklands corner. This is probably the slower of the two straights really, and the worst opportunity to get an overtake done. Stowe's probably the better opportunity for Campbell. He's not close enough. He can't really close on Toxic at all down the straight, and he can't get close enough to make the move into Brooklyn, so he's going to stay in second for the time being. Larkin's already picked up a time penalty, running in 4th now. He's on the inside of Miami through Luffield. Miami picks up a whole heap of understeer midway through the corner. Can't fight it. Larkin up another place, up into 4th. We've seen this so many times this season from Larkin. His qualifying pace isn't quite there, but he works his way through the field methodically and so quickly. Already up into 4th place, but already on the back foot with that time penalty. I believe Ryan as well as the other one with a time penalty, running currently in 14th place. The lead person on the hard tyres, Maverick as well, now picks up a time penalty. He's running in 12th place. Alex has had a good start. He's up into the top 10 in the in the Univirtuosi car, so he's had a good start. Looking further down as well, Peas, we've completely missed it. Peas from 18th on the grid is already 9th. He's had an incredible start up into the top 10. Chill picks up a time penalty now as he gets past he gets past Jordan, coming through Chapel and up onto the Hangar Straight. Coming to the end of lap 3 then, Toxic still leads, but it's still only 0.3 of a second back to Campbell, who is sticking with him at the time being. Verstappen sticking there in 3rd as well. Larkin 4th ahead of Miami 5th. J. Cole just about keeping on the back of this crew as well in job on debut. JD Nolan, the first person outside of DRS, currently running in 7th, having his best race of the season so far, so look out for him later on to try and mount a challenge, as Toxic now picks up a 3-second time penalty as well. And that's one thing we've seen a lot this season, is Toxic picking up a lot of time penalties. It cost him the win in Canada, it nearly cost him the win in Austria as well, and it could cost him the win here today. Campbell and Verstappen at the moment in the better seat than Toxic here.
We'll see if they're able to pounce on him on track as well and try and force errors out of the championship contender. Both of your main championship contenders, of course, picking up penalties early in the race. How much will that cost them in the context? This very, very close fight. Still a 6-car fight for the race lead out there. We'll see how it all evolves over the course of this feature race. Closest battle on track looks to be between the two Trident cars. Verstappen is really bearing down on Campbell here, who may be struggling to stay in contact now in the DRS range of the race leader and defending champion Toxic. Verstappen has a great run coming out of Cops and may go to the outside towards Magnus. It's so risky, but Campbell yields on the inside. He did not want to get involved in that. Verstappen makes the pass. He's up in a 2nd place, but can he hold it? They're on to the straight now, and DRS is open for QVR Campbell. Can he fight back at his teammate? He's certainly closing, he's certainly gaining. He's going to go to the outside there towards Stowe. Can he sweep around the longer route through the corner? Verstappen does not give it up, but he's pinched onto the inside there. Campbell runs wide on the exit though, and they are still wheel to wheel, but eventually mandatory pit stops coming in, and it's Toxic and Verstappen. They bail out of that. Campbell inherits the race lead. A whole multitude of pit stops out there now. It is a very, very busy pit lane out there. Toxic leads the man. Verstappen hot on his heels. Can he jump and potentially the pit stops? So you see now it's so busy that fortunes could really change hands. I'm watching Verstappen now in the pit stops. Looks like he might just about be clean, and he is going to go out now. Toxic is seemingly being held though. Now he gets underway, and he does maintain the net race lead. So very, very tight out there. Toxic making the early pit stop. How much will the undercut make a difference? It's a 2-compound gap between the tyres, so the people up at the front of the field may still be able to make worth of it. We'll see how effective the undercut is. Campbell leads the race, but how exposed is he going to be to Toxic getting a bigger advantage? Now he's come in the lap earlier.
Miami, meanwhile, too fast coming out of the pit lane. He drove onto the grass coming out, lost the car, nearly the Grosjean. He just about keeps the car out of the wall. Verstappen and Larkin were side by side there, and someone's gone off the road in the meantime. That's Ibo. Ibo's gone off the road through the farm and village section. So Verstappen now out of DRS range to Toxic. So Toxic has got a little bit of a breather. Campbell now picks up a time penalty as well. So it's only Verstappen in this lead battle that doesn't have a penalty apart from J. Cole. So have to look at J. Cole in this race as well to maybe gain places later on. Larkin trying to get past, but there's not really any room, so he can't work his way through. We got Ryan and Alex side by side further up the field. Ryan doing a very good job on these hard tyres, up into 5th place. Philippe is definitely the cork in the bottle here. He's really struggling on these soft tyres. He's dropped massively to Gary in front, and Ryan is already looking like he's going to pass him down towards Stowe. He's going to have the outside line for the corner. It seemingly worked for everyone else in this race, and again it works for Ryan. He's up another place. He's up into 4th on those hard tyres. Good stuff from him, and the top 3 look like they're all coming in. Yes, they all come in. So Campbell, J. Cole and Gary all into the pit lane. So Ryan and Elf will now inherit the top 2 positions in this race on the harder compounder tyres. So we'll have to wait and see where they come out.
Oh, Chill's off!
Oh, is Chill off the road again?
He's gone off going into the pit lane. Must have gone right up towards that pit wall. Maybe made a mistake on the grass. I'm not entirely sure. But it's gone disastrously wrong back there. Meanwhile, the race leaders have made their pit stops, and Campbell is now on his road. Where is Toxic? He's coming through now. 1.5 second gap. 2 Verstappen behind. He's making steady progress and trying to mount his authority up in the race lead. He might just clear him. He does. He's going to get a jump on Campbell, who struggles to get going there. Verstappen might just get through. Larkin as well, so close. Campbell trying to tuck in. Round the outside goes Larkin, but Campbell tries to see it off nearly. Loses the car as he's trying to keep the Arden behind him, but he's just maintained on track position. But DRS slipstream now will come into play. Larkin chasing Campbell down towards Brooklands there as Toxic as well attacking attacking Tim on the inside. He's made that move stick. Larkin does not go for the move on Campbell. So the Trident car is still running strongly up at the front. But now they've leaked a bit of time. Toxic has broken that DRS range. He is cruising away up at the front with a penalty. Verstappen has his number on that. But Toxic trying to make the most of that there. He's got to make emphatic progress. Really charge and see if he can try and pull away that all-important 3-second gap. Up at the front, you've got Elf attacking Ryan down towards Stu, but he's going to set it behind at the moment. The XL driver in the dams maintaining your on-track lead at the moment. There is Elf does pick up a penalty. We'll see now what happens in the pack behind because Tim is under pressure. He's looking vulnerable, and now Verstappen is going to go on the attack, or is he? DRS is still with the Virtuosi driver, so Verstappen's going to have to do it the hard way, and that's going to be right outside. Sweeps through on entry, and has made that move stick there, and he is up into 5th place. Can Campbell get up towards him? He's got a car between himself and his teammate. Wow! What on earth? Tim darts across the road. I think he was trying to let him through, but Campbell was committed to the inside line, and they almost came together. But Campbell has gone through, and now Larkin on the attack in the Arden. Sweeps towards the inside. They go wheel to wheel over the line. Tim gets swamped as Larkin up into 6th, keeping the 2 Trident drivers on this and trying to stay in that lead fight. So now Toxic's lead at the front stands at 2 seconds. Elf is attacking Ryan. There's action everywhere at the moment, but Toxic has the net race lead at the moment. Can Verstappen, Campbell, Larkin get up to him as we can progress through the race? There is action galore out there. I don't know where to look at the moment, Aidan.
Looking a bit further down, Pease is on a charge once again. He's past JD Nolan after the pit stops. He's now on the back of Gary for another place. This is going to be the eventual fight for reverse grid pole, so this is going well so far for Pease. Looking to the outside, coming towards Brooklyn. Is he late enough on the brakes? He's already cleared him on the way into the corner, so Pease up another place, up into a net P6, I think, in this race. Brilliant stuff from Pease. Up into 10th on the road. He's now got 2.5 seconds to try and catch back up to Miami in the other ART car, who's having his best race of the season so far. Pease is on an absolute charge at this point. He started right at the back as Verstappen now picks up a time penalty as well. So all of our top 4 in this race, so Toxic, Verstappen, Campbell and Larkin all have a time penalty. J. Cole was the first person without one, but he is losing time to the drivers in front. He's nearly 2 seconds off the back of Larkin now, so he's continuing to lose pace to our net race leaders. Pease up into a net 6th, the net 7th on the road, absolutely fine and closing in on Miami. He might be able to drag Gary and JD Nolan with him as well. Looking a bit further down the field as well, we've got the 2 Carlin cars battling. Ton ahead of Alt Maverick. Maverick not quite having the pace here that he had in the preseason. He picked up a podium in this race, in the preseason race. It's not quite worked out for him so far. He's going to look to the inside of his teammate up towards Stowe. He's not quite close enough, so he's going to stay in behind Ton for the time being. That's the battle for 14th. Ton runs very wide though, coming out of Stowe, but Maverick not close enough to capitalise on it, so he stays in 15th. Looking at the top 2 as well, currently on the road, Elf is much faster than Ryan, but just can't seem to find a way through. Can he look to he's going to look to the outside for Brooklands. Can he hold it around the outside? Ryan takes a very defensive line, runs a bit wide. Elf is going to do the up and under for the outside line for Luffield. Can he keep that car ahead coming out of the corner? Ryan's going to try and force him all the way to the gravel, but Elf is still there on the outside. Great racing. They're side by side between all the way through. Woodcock, can Elf hold the momentum? Can he have the outside line for Cops? Who's going to back out of this one? It's going to be who's latest into the corner. They're still side by side. Elf and Ryan somehow keep that on the road side by side. I think Elf is going to have to back out of this one up into the Maggots and Beckett's complex, and he does, but he will have DRS coming down the hanger straight because of it. So can he get passed down towards Stowe now? These 2 great racing between the 2 people on the alternate strategy. Ryan through the grass and has lost the car. He's lost the car through Chapel. He's just about holds it and keeps it out of the wall, but Elf let through into the race lead. Ryan eventually cracks under pressure and loses time. JD Nolan's now past Gary, meanwhile further back as well. Actually, as I say that, Gary's repassed him on the exit of Cops. So I think JD Nolan tried to do a similar move to what Elf tried to do, and it just didn't work. But Gary struggling, JD Nolan trying to work his way forwards. Great racing on this track. It's such a good track to race at, and it's been proved as once again the 2 Trident cars go side by side. Campbell really late dive to the inside of Stowe. Verstappen's going to hold it around the outside. Can he hold the line for fail? I think he will, but Campbell's going to try and look to the inside for the chicane, but he's not quite close enough, so he stays in behind his teammate for the time being. The 2 Trident cars though battling so much that it's allowing Toxic to get away. Toxic now has a near 3-second advantage over these guys, and Larkin is still there just behind them, ready to pounce if they make a mistake.
We'll see now as Toxic picks up another penalty. Now that could be crucial if that gap holds, but I think Campbell does look to be the slightly faster of the Trident drivers at that stage, and he's going to be frustrated. He's going to be nearing desperation at this point because he knows there's a slim chance he might be able to sneak this race win. He has to get on with it though, and Verstappen is merely in his way, but he is not willing to give up the possession, and the Trident drivers go to war here at Silverstone, but Campbell is not close enough going into Brooklands and has to just hang back for the time being, and this is giving Toxic time to try and build up that 3-second gap that he needs at the moment there. Campbell still right there. Verstappen gets great traction off of Luffield. It's a constant battle there. It ebbs and flows and the pendulum swings, and still Verstappen has the advantage on track, but Campbell does, as I mentioned, look to be the slightly faster driver at this stage. Gap to Toxic, 2.5 seconds. Verstappen technically still has the net race lead in this race, but is Campbell going to try and do something about it? Now they head down towards the higher straight then, and does Campbell get a decent exit? We saw his closing speed last time out on the run down towards Stowe, and he might be attacking again there as he closes down for Verstappen there. The distance closing it now, looks towards the inside, he's gonna go for it as Campbell down the inside. He's committed just like last time, but just like last time, Verstappen has enough on the outside and maintains 4th place out there. Superb defence, as I think Pease was making his way past Tim back there. He's up into 9th and chasing down Miami. What about Campbell going round? Whoa! How has he managed to save that? He was absolutely opposite law going through the final corner, held it together. But Verstappen has managed to get that gap that he needs. 3 seconds now to Toxic. Toxic now battling for that race lead, but Aiden, it is so tight. You do not know whoever could win this race. It's incredibly close at the moment.
Just looking at pure speed, I think Verstappen and Campbell are running at the same lap speed as Toxic, but as soon as they start battling, that's when they lose time. So I wonder if Trident going to have to talk to each other here. Is Verstappen going to have to allow Campbell through in order for Campbell to try and win this race? Campbell, like you say, does seem the faster of the two Trident cars, but Verstappen doing a great job at defending, but overall it's going to cost them a shot at a race victory here. Toxic continues to pull away. Larkin made a bit of a mistake that lap previous as well, coming through Luffield. He lost a lot of time, but because of that slide from Campbell, that's pulled him back into DRS range of these two. So while these guys keep battling, it's allowing Larkin to catch back up. J. Cole still running in 7th place. He's about 3 seconds behind Larkin, so he's still within penalty range of the Arden driver to sneak a place off of him. He's not quite within 6 seconds of Toxic at the front to capitalise on his penalties yet, but J. Cole on his debut doing a brilliant job in that Charu car. He's pulling away from Miami. Gary is now side by side with Tim. Tim's dropped another place. Tim is being absolutely swamped at the moment on these harder compounded tyres. It's just not working for him. And now JD Nolan trying to work his way past all the way through Chapel. Just so much understeer in that Uni Virtuosi. And JD Nolan breezes past before he even gets to the hanger straight, so he's now up into 11th. Elf, our race leader, is into the pits to put on the soft compounder tyres. So let's see where he comes out relative to people around him. He's probably going to be around the 2 Carling cars, I would say, on track. So he's got a lot of work to do to try and work his way forwards. Tim is now into the pit lane as well to get off of those hard compound tyres. They are just not working for him in this race. Back to the battle for the lead though. Campbell back within 0.2 of a second of Verstappen already. He's re-caught the guy so quickly. It just goes to show that Campbell is the faster of the 2 cars. Can he get the move done this time? Down towards Brooklands. Every time he goes for the move at Stowe, Verstappen can read him like a book, knows exactly what he's going to do and just defends it easily. So can he get it done into Brooklands? But again, Verstappen is so good through that village and farm section. Powers through Aintree and just disappears up the road. Campbell not close enough into Brooklands to get the move done. Sticks in behind his teammate for the time being, and it's just continuing to allow Toxic to pull away out front. Elf actually came out onto the track in 11th, just behind JD Nolan, so his speed on those older hard compound tyres was actually very impressive, so he could be on for a top 10 finish here in his first race in this championship.
Yeah, really making a name for himself, and now he can go on the hunt. JD Nolan is the next car on his hit list, if you like. Now, keeping an eye on this Trident battle. Campbell looks to be quicker throughout the whole lap, but Verstappen seems to be quicker in the critical zones going onto the straights. And Verstappen, though, has just made an error going through Chapel, and Campbell needs to take advantage of these mistakes because they're not going to come often. He is bearing down the slipstream win this time. Verstappen covering the inside line, so the outside is going to be this time for Campbell, and he's ahead. before they reach the corner. Maybe Team Order's down there and trying it, but what is important, Campbell is up in a third place. He now has to make up a full second on Toxic, considered by most to be the fastest driver in the division. It is a mighty, mighty task. Can he possibly get up to him? Your previous race leader, Exo Ryan, has gone to the pit lane. He'll probably emerge around about between Philippe and Tom. We'll see how he charges. Elf, though, is bearing down on GD Nolan in the dams and is getting right up to him. So we'll see now how this battle unfolds there. Miami is not far up the road. Actually, my mistake there. There is a bit of a larger gap between them. Its piece is not quite far enough ahead, but Elf flew towards the inside line. Just holds back at the moment there, but Nolan under such pressure. He sets up the move, going towards the loop, looks to the outside, and now trying to get the switch back as they head towards the Wellington Straight there. Traction is with Nolan, though, and Gary's right there in front. So watch this space, it could get hectic down there as they head towards the end of the first sector. Gary breaking the slipstream, trying to cover the inside line, and there's no change of possession just yet, but Gary struggling to get to that apex there. Really trying to rag that car in, but it looks like he's struggling on tyres as Elf. Great move to the inside of Lawfield. Can he find traction on the exit there? They are wheel to wheel now, but through he goes. He is up in a 9th place. He's making such superb progress out there. Now has Gary right in his sights as they head through Cops there, and this is how to impress on your debut there. Gary, such an experienced driver, now under pressure here. Peace picks up another penalty. Watch how that's going to affect him. He's got several drivers on his tail. The Carlins are battling as well. Maverick finally gets through on Ton. Now onto the main straight they go in this fight, and Elf right behind Gary. Gary trying, he's looking in every mirror, trying to change every direction, but it surely won't be enough. He's trying to hold that inside line to Zoe, but Elf has cleared him. He's up in 8th place. Superb stuff, and now he's made 2 places 1 lap. He can charge up the pace now. I tell you what, this is a very impressive debut from the back, from towards the back of the field. He's up 11 places now. Superb stuff, and now he can try and get up towards Pease up the road there. This is really good stuff from Elf. Can he possibly move further? But another penalty, that'll hold him back.
That will hold him back. It looks like I think he's got 3 in this race already, so that might cost him that reverse grid pole position at the moment. But like you say, what a debut from this man. And this is why I was shocked to see Pease not go for this strategy. This alternate strategy seems to have worked really, really well for the MP Motorsport man. Ryan is in 12th despite his spin later on in his stint, so he is still on for possibly a good result in the second Dams car. So it just goes to show that this strategy is actually quite good if you can hook up those hard tyres pretty early on in the race. Meanwhile, back to the battle for second place. Larkin's closed in, so it's now a 3-way battle for second place. Campbell is not closing in on Toxic. In fact, Toxic has pulled another second on the Trident car, so Toxic is now almost safe and done in this race. Up at the front, Larkin trying to get past the 2 Trident cars in front to null the damage in the championship to Toxic. Toxic is absolutely flying at the moment. Toxic, though, didn't pick up those points for pole position, so that's one thing that Larkin can at least take away from this race, that he didn't lose out in qualifying to Toxic in terms of points. Larkin with an incredible run, though, through Chapel, right on the back of Verstappen, but Verstappen has DRS in his defence and his attack. Can Larkin get close enough down towards Stowe? Does he look to the inside? He has a little look, but it's not quite close enough in the braking zone. That's such a shame for Larkin that he's so close to the back of Verstappen, but Verstappen having DRS means that Larkin cannot go for the move as of yet. He has to stick in 4th for the time being. These guys have absolutely driven away from Jacob in 5th. He's had a good debut as well, but he's now 5.5 seconds behind these guys. He's completely dropped off the back and is being caught a little bit by Ami and Pease and Elf. Elf is already 3 seconds ahead of Gary, who is now side by side with JD Nolan. JD Nolan has been trying to get past Gary all race long, and it just hasn't worked for him. Still running in 10th at the moment, but Elf on those soft tyres absolutely flying. Is already within DRS range of Pease.
Yeah, look at him flying up to a very impressive driver already in the division. In total, Pease is trying to close ground on Miami 5 up ahead. See how that all evolves there. Still the fight for second place rages on, but there are no overtakes going to happen, unfortunately, up to that point there. Elf will not be close enough to Pease, but Nolan might well be close enough to Gary this time. DRS is open. Gary immediately switches to the inside, desperate to hold the place. This could be for a reverse grid pull as Nolan off to the outside line, down into Brooklyn. Can he pull that one off there? He's trying to get his nose in front, and now it's the inside for Lawfield. There's contact, and Nolan tries to keep it on the road, but eventually has to go through the grass in his desperation to move through his Larkin, trying to get up to Verstappen. I'd switch my attention there, because he is all over the Trident there. Can he get on the podium here? They're going to open up now. We have just over a lap to go in this race, and the Dutchman is now under pressure. DRS open for Larkin, but DRS still in the defence of Verstappen. This could be Larkin's only opportunity here. He looks towards the inside towards Stowe, but just reconsiders it, thinks better of it there. Verstappen only at third place, and still Campbell is in danger. Elf attacking Pease now, right outside, and that's 7th place out there. That's a sensational debut. Jaco picks up a penalty, but I think he may still be good. I'm not sure about Miami's situation on those penalties. We are now on to the final lap, and one has been a very action-packed feature race. Toxic looks to be fine as long as he doesn't pick up another penalty, but the battle for second rages on. Campbell has the advantage, but one mistake could really swing the pendulum. He's just got to try and hold on there. Verstappen, Larkin, they'll be so eager to get him moved on, but Campbell holding on for now. Can he maintain second place and take a crucial step towards third place in the championship potentially?
It's going to be so crucial for Verstappen to try and get past. Losing time, that battling with Larkin is allowing Campbell to just pull away enough to hold on to that place. We're on the final lap at the moment. Campbell in second place, safe enough at the time being. It's still 7/10. Larkin looks so good in the middle part of the lap, but he can't do anything with it. There's not really any overtaking spots through the middle sector. It's more the start of the third sector where he has to get the move done, and he can't because Verstappen's just close enough to his teammate to be able to defend. And Larkin this time round doesn't look as close as he was the lap previous to the back of the Trident man, so it doesn't look like Larkin is going to be able to steal a pot on the podium ahead of one of the Trident cars, and that will bring Toxic almost dead level on points, I would say, with the championship leader at the end of this one. It's going to be so close as they head into the sprint race at the moment. Look at Elf as well. Elf is already on the back of Miami, who's now within DRS Venture J. Cole, so Elf at the moment on track could be on for a P6 result here. That would be a great result from him if he can pull that one off. He's had a great run through Chapel in the background. We're going to ride with Toxic though as he comes up to the final chicane. Another dominant performance in a feature race from Toxic. We've seen it so often this season. We're almost turning into a broken record, but it's another win for Toxic, and it's the feature race victory for Toxic. Brilliant drive from the start. He overtook Campbell with ease and didn't look back. Verstappen, Campbell had another penalty. I completely missed that one. So Verstappen ends up in second. Larkin ends up on the podium in third. Campbell drops to fourth ahead of J. Cole, who crosses the line in fifth on debut. What a race from him. Miami takes sixth ahead of Pease in seventh on penalties. Elf is eighth. Where is Gary in all of this? He's dropped so much time, but he's going to steal reverse grid pole off of Elf in the end. After that battle with JD Nolan, he had just enough time in his back pocket to steal reverse grid pole off of Elf. What a shame for Elf that he could have been on reverse grid pole in his first event of the season, but it's still a brilliant drive from him. JD Nolan routes out the top 10. Philippe in 11th ahead of Alex. Alex is 12th, and they had Ton in 13th. Ryan is in 14th ahead of Maverick in 15th. Freak ahead of Jordan. Freak's a little bit off the road actually coming into the final corner and picks up a penalty because of it. He crosses the line in 16th. Jordan will cross the line in 17th, having lagged out the session earlier on. Tim is going to cross the line in 18th. His hard to soft strategy did not work for him at all. Chill running in 19th. What a disastrous race he's had. He's spun numerous times in this race. He's only just made it into the final sector. It's been such a shocking race from fourth on the grid. He's just not looked comfortable in race pace around this track at all. He will cross the line second to last in the other Prema car while his teammate wins the race. Ibo will be the final finisher in the second Charu car, but that was a brilliant race to watch, and once again it's going to be Toxic that wins the race. Jordan is at the top of the timing sheets, but ignore that one. That is just because of a timing glitch, I believe. He did leave the session at the start, so Jordan isn't the winner of the race. It is Toxic who has won this one, and it is another stellar drive from the Prema driver.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, Verstappen maybe taking a bit of a positive outlook for him. Second place, of course, could be a bit of a turning point for his season. We will see. But yeah, Toxic, very, very important. Larkin on a podium from, again, a compromised grip position as Jordan picks up driver of the day. But yeah, I definitely think Larkin managed to cut his losses after another weaker qualifying performance. Toxic, though, is doing the business. That was a very important win. And maybe if the sprint race goes his way, we've seen some brilliant sprint race performances from Toxic this season. Don't count him out. Although Larkin has been leading the way most of the way through this season, you never know. By the end of this session, maybe we're finding a new championship leader. Toxic, maybe leading the way after round 8 here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have seen this glitch before. I do believe that because Jordan has officially won the race on the game, I think Gary is actually going to miss out on his reverse grid pole position, unfortunately, because of that, which is such a shame. Just another glitch, really. You can see that Jordan with the fastest lap of the 31-second lap time. So you can see that that has obviously resulted in him winning the race. Unfortunately, he finished the race 17th on the 17th in the order, so that's where he will finish in terms of the championship standings. Toxic is the winner, ahead of Verstappen in second, Larkin third, Campbell in fourth, ahead of J. Cole fifth, Miami sixth, P seventh. Gary should be on reverse grid pole position, but unfortunately, because of that glitch, Pease will now be on reverse grid pole. Elf is going to be in ninth, great debut from him, and then JD Nolan, he rounds off the top 10 after a good race from him. Philippe in 11th, ahead of Alex, Ton, Ryan, Maverick, Freak. Then it's Jordan ahead of Tim, Chill and Ibo. Everyone finished the race in the end, but just got to have a word for Chill as well. It's such a shame to see him struggle so much, and after a good qualifying, he just couldn't keep the car on the road in the feature race, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's always gonna start a bit of a downward spiral when your race goes wrong on the first lap. So he's gonna be hungry to try and possibly eke some points out of this to try and move forward and at least claw something back in his fight in that championship. Overcast day here for the sprint race, but ultimately looks as though we will be avoiding the rain here, which is rather surprising, it being Silverstone. I do feel very sorry for Gary, though. Gary, who kind of earned his pole position for this race, unless it's miraculously sorted itself out, Codemasters, it looks like we will be starting with Jordan kind of messing up the reverse grid. No fault of his own, obviously, but just the reality of these rather faulty Codemasters games at times. So I'm not sure how the grid will go, but if that's the case, I do feel bad for Gary, because it would have been great to see him on pole, see what he could have done from that position.
Yeah, it would have been really, really good to see, because despite obviously our top drivers pulling away at the early phases of the race, the pace actually in the top 10 was relatively similar throughout. No one really lost a lot of time, so that's one thing to look out for. It does look like Jordan is now 8th on the grid because of that. I think he said that in the Formula 2 chat that we have that he might drop to the back of the field for the start of the race to move out of people's way, so we'll have to wait and see what happens at the start of this one. The grid now, after that glitch in the feature race, is Pease on provisional on sprint race pole position, which actually in the end works out brilliantly for Total Pease, because having started right at the back of the feature race, he worked his way into position for the reverse grid race, and it's put him on pole position, and it's going to be difficult really to bet against him for the win here.
We'll see, of course, if anyone can get in his way. Of course, we did mention the pace is very, very similar amongst these top drivers, so he probably won't be able to break away, but he may well be hard for drivers like Toxic, Verstappen, Larkin, Campbell to make up those top 3 positions, because there really isn't much of a pace discrepancy between those top 8 or 9 drivers. So keep an eye out on that, because I think we could be certainly seeing a very fascinating sprint race here, 11 laps around Silverstone. We'll see what the order is by the end of it. Total Pease is going to lead them out, and of course the entire grid will be on the hard tyres. That will be meaning we won't be having any pit stops here today, so we can just focus on raw racing. No real strategy coming into it. It's just a straight up race from lights to flag. Looking forward to this one, Aiden. I can't wait to get it underway.
It's going to be an absolutely brilliant race. Miami in his best grid position of the season so far. Fair to say that his feature race today is probably his best result and his best performance of the season so far. Now on the front row for the sprint race. J. Cole on debut, now 3rd for the start of the sprint race. What a great debut from him to be in the top 5, battling with championship protagonists in his first race. That is a brilliant result from him. Campbell will be 4th ahead of Larkin, Verstappen, Toxic, Jordan 8th on the grid, but we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. Gary down to 9th. Elf rounding off the top 10 and finishing 10th because of penalties. What a debut from Elf as well. Our two new boys in this championship in Elf and J. Cole really shone in that race. So let's see if they can shine in the sprint race. Daka, I'm going to hand over to you for the start of this one. It's going to be a really, really fascinating race.
Very much looking forward to it. Let's get it underway, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. So the grid now just taking shape. Up in the front, Total Pease, of course, from a disaster in qualifying, has managed to make gains and could potentially grab an all-important sprint race victory, but did not go anywhere. It could all change. Here we go then. The sprint race here at Silverstone is seconds away. The lights are coming on now. We have 4, 5 lights. And we are away for the sprint race here in round 8 of the championship. Pease leaves the line, Miami 5 trying to get up to him there. The Tridents weaving in behind, but Total Pease converts. And in turn 1, he leads the way. Campbell has jumped J. Cole off the line. He runs third, and Verstappen battling away with Toxic. 3 championship contenders going all out there. And Toxic is running outside of QBR Verstappen and completes a maneuver. He runs in the top 5. Verstappen trying to get underneath him, but to no avail. Has settled into 6th with Larkin 7th. Gary battling away with JD Nolan yet again. They've continued their fight from the feature race as now Rowney outside tries JD Nolan there, lay on the brakes, but Gary just about sees it off. He gets himself up and takes. We had Yellows back there. I think that's Embo. Freak Frog's gone round there. Carnage down there at the back. We have several cars that have gone off there. I think we saw Jordan pulling to the side off the start. He's dropped places. Toxic is on the offensive. He is looking at the rear end of XL. J. Cole, can he make him out there? He's got a much better run. Coming in, the cops there. That's to be brave. Round the outside into Maggots. They're still side by side there as they approach Beckett's. They are wheel to wheel, and they did not yield. But Toxic has the inside line for Chapel on the exit, and he is up into fourth place. And now Verstappen on the attack. Sweeps around the outside. 3 drivers battling for the same bit of track as Larkin on the offensive now. Look at this. This could get into tears now. 4 cars now fighting for the same piece of tarmac as they head through the high-speed Stowe corner. And Larkin round the outside. Wow. He is up in a 5th place there. Verstappen losing out. J. Cole losing out more. That was absolutely incredible. Now, Toxic and Larkin share the same piece of tarmac out there. Miami 5. That's actually a bit of a timing glitch there. Total Pease does still lead this race up in the front. What a battle down there down the hangar straight. I had no clue who was going to come out in front. No clue if they were going to make it out alive. They have done. And Toxic now in 4th. Larkin behind him in 5th. Game on is for the championship. The 2 contenders are almost nose to tail out there.
Larkin did what he had to do. Toxic had another amazing start, made up so many places so quickly. Larkin had to follow him through, and he has done. So he's right on the tail of his championship rival. Campbell up into 3rd on the road. He's had a good start as well. He could be battling for the race lead. Pease has a bit of a gap out front. He's a little bit safe at the moment. It's just over a second, and then Miami runs in 2nd on the road. He's got all sorts of pressure though coming from behind. Campbell, Toxic, Larkin, and Verstappen all on the back of the ART man for that 2nd place on the road. Then it's J. Cole running 7th ahead of Gary 8th. Alex is up into 9th. He's had an amazing start in the Univirtuosi, and Elf rounds off the top 10 ahead of JD Nolan in 11th. I think further back we've got a spin as well. That's Freak. Freak has spun coming out of Luffield. I think what happened is Ryan got run into the back of by Maverick coming to Brooklands, and I think that's where that incident came from. Further down the field, Maverick had to come into the pit lane to change his front wing at the end of that first lap, which is why he's now down at the back of the field. Not his week so far, unfortunately, for Maverick. He's had such a good season, but it's just not worked out for him today. Elf and JD Nolan are side by side coming up, and they're 3 wide once again coming into Stowe. They're trying to work their way past Alex. They both pass Alex. JD Nolan trying to pass the pair of them round the outside of Stowe. Has the inside line for the Vale Club chicane. Elf trying to come back down the inside, but JD Nolan, just like Larkin, drives clean around the outside of everyone around him. And up into the place, but Elf down the inside of the 2nd part of Club. He's up into 9th place. Great opportunistic move from Elf up into 9th. Can he close down on Gary in front for that top 8 positions? Great racing between these guys. Very, very clean stuff, and Elf comes out on top and back into the top 10 once again. Pease made a little mistake at the end of that lap. Miami's closed back into the race leader and is within DRS range, so that's going to allow him to defend against Campbell. Toxic is all over the back of Campbell once again, who's dropped a little bit of time to Miami himself as well, so it's all starting to Constantina up at the field. Pease down to Verstappen. No one is out of DRS range.
This is remarkable down there. Verstappen lining up Larkin as well, trying to get through. Maverick is retired in the pit lane though, so won't bring out any safety cars on a terrible race weekend for Maverick. Look at Toxic though, he's all over Campbell. He might go for it. Go towards Cobbs. No, he thinks better of that one. Campbell holds 3rd place, but Toxic is right there with him. Larkin eager to try and suss out any overtaking opportunities, and the race leader is now bunching up there. So it's all coming together, and a penalty for Campbell could really swing the odds here, and now he's got Toxic all over in pressure mounting on the Trident driver. The leaders are closer than they've been at any point in this race, in Miami trying to close him down, trying to suss out any overtake, but it won't quite come through, and it looks like they will be sitting in formation just for the time being, though. Campbell is under pressure. Pete is under pressure from Miami, who is bearing down on him there. What a mixed up group we're having, and such high quality fighting up at the front of the field. It is not over by any stretch of the imagination. We're only 3 laps in. We've had so much action. Pease leads the race, but look at Miami. He's all over him here. Surely a move could be coming soon.
Miami's got to get this move done. He's pulling away from Campbell. Miami, at this point, Elf now sets the fastest lap of the race. He's already caught Gary, so they're absolutely fine. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. That's for Tim in the other Univirtuoso car. He's spun through the second part of Club. But Miami, all of a sudden, has found another gear in this part of the race. His first lap wasn't that competitive, but he's absolutely flying. He was pulling away from Campbell. He's closed in on Pease massively quickly. Pease having to break the DRS. He's trying to break the toe to the ART driver behind, but he can't quite do it. Down into the corner. Miami's going to stay in second place for the time being. Elf has passed Gary down towards Brooklands with ease by the looks of things. Gary is is down a place, and once again JD Nolan's going to be on the back of Gary. These two have been inseparable so far today, and once again they're going to be battling it out for 9th place. Elf up into 8th place with the fastest lap. He's absolutely flying. He could be closing in on J. Cole, and all this battling at the front is allowing J. Cole to start closing in on this battle for the lead as well. So they could all close up all the way down to 8th place at this point. Elf absolutely flying. JD Nolan picks up a 3-second time penalty on the exit of Copse Corner. Back to the race leaders though. Pease looks like he's got enough of a gap through Maggots and Beckett's. He slightly hits the grass through Chapel, but Miami doesn't look quite close enough, although he's got a good run through the corner. He's into the DRS bench. Does he go for a late move up into Stowe? Pease with nothing in defence, but Miami not close enough into Stowe to make the move stick, so he stays in second place for the time being. Campbell starting to get back into his groove and is closing in once again. I don't know who's going to come out on top in this one. They all look so similarly paced, and at the moment it's Pease that's holding them all up.
And this race is perfectly poised with Miami 5 searching for a potential race victory here. Pease is going to have to try and hold on out there, but can he do so? Potentially. We've still got such a long way to go in this race. 7 laps to the checkered flag, and still so much time for Miami or anyone else to make the decisive overtake and get up into that race lead. They open up the throttle now, out of the loop, and are now getting a bear down the Wellington Straight. Pease might just about have enough in his hand. He's doing well enough in the crucial traction zones, and he might just hold out the race lead. Campbell's looking feisty. He's car lengths away from the race lead now, hunting for it. Can he get through? Can he take one of very few race victories this season? He's right there and right in his grasp, but it is so close. Still the top 6 altogether as we've got Spinner back there. That's Philippe. Philippe has had a disaster here today, off yet again, and that's heartbreak for Philippe. He's really not been able to back up Larkin in this fight, who's trying to get up the Toxic, who bears down on Campbell, who looks at Miami, who still threatens the race lead of Pease. This is so competitive. This is impossible to call, as now yet again on to the Hangar Straight they go. Pease again gets a good run going through Chapel, and another penalty for Campbell is really going to throw him potentially out of contention. But the DRS train is stopping overtakes from happening. Really, what's going to start sparking this into an all-out war is if Miami decides to make the move on Pease. That will really kick things off, and then wow, then I have no clue what will happen up at the front.
I can't predict this one at the moment. Toxic himself has also picked up a 3-second time penalty, so he at the moment is at the mercy of the drivers behind him. Verstappen, Larkin, J. Cole, I think are all within range to steal that place off of Toxic. Elf with another fastest lap. He's flying at the moment, currently running in 8th place, closing in on J. Cole for 7th. He's dropped Gary completely out of his DRS range, so he is closing in on this battle for the race lead. Pease still leads. It's 4/10ths coming through the middle part of the lap. Miami has a good run coming through Aintree, but again he's not quite close enough. He can't get up to speed as quickly as Pease, and Campbell looking very racy, but with 2 time penalties it's going to cost him here. He's not really in this battle anymore. He's just going to have to try and get the positions on track and hope for a bit of chaos behind him if he's going to want to pick up a podium here. He can't quite get through though. Miami doing a very good job at defending as well as attacking at the moment. Pease, like you say, Pease is the cork in the bottle. As soon as Miami goes for a move on Pease, it's all going to kick off behind. Toxic with a very good run coming out of Luffield, but he's again not close enough coming down towards Copse on the back of Campbell, so we have to stick into 4th place for the time being. I can't predict this one at the moment, who's going to win this one, but again, it looks like Miami's had a great run as he comes up towards Maggots and Beckett's. Can he get up the inside towards Stowe on the Campos driver. Looks total peas in that second part of Maggots, and Beckett is so confident, and he's going to get the move done. I think we've got another yellow flag. Campbell with a brilliant run through Chapel. He's close enough to challenge Miami, who I think in turn might be close enough to challenge Peas down into Stowe. They're not quite close enough. Campbell looking to the inside. They almost go 3 wide. Campbell so late on the brakes. How on earth is to get that one stopped? He's made it stick. He's through on Miami up into second place. Crucial for Campbell's race. Toxic with a late move down the inside of the Vale chicane. Miami's going to hold it the inside of Club, but Toxic's going to drive clean around the outside of the chicane and up into third place. Opportunistic as ever. Miami was vulnerable. Toxic wasted absolutely no time in making the move. He's up into third place, which will be at the moment second when Campbell gets his penalty, but Toxic as well has one. So Miami and Larkin and Verstappen just have to keep within range to steal that place back off of the 2 drivers in front. Now it's going to be Campbell on the back of Peas. Can Campbell get the move done on Peas? Can Peas hold on? Peas has been the bridesmaid so many times this season already. He's finished second more times than he can probably count, and he's just looking for that first win of the season. It hasn't come to him just yet. This is his best opportunity. We've only got 4.5 laps to go in this race. He holds on for the time being. Campbell not close enough coming down into the chicane, so down into Brooklyn, sorry, so he has to stay in second place for the time being. Miami drops to 4th, but he will get back up into second just based on penalties alone at the moment. Larkin runs 5th, Verstappen 6th. Elf is now within DRS Venture J. Cole for 7th, so he has closed in on the Chiru driver. Look at Miami trying to come back at Toxic down into the chicane, but again, down into Cop, sorry, but again, not close enough. Not looking to the inside, backing out of it, staying in behind for Maggots and Beckett. So I'm going to have to take a breather. This battle for the race leads 6 drivers, none of them any bigger than half a second behind the car in front. Such a close battle, when Peas at the moment looks like he's doing just enough to hold on. As we have a yellow flag, we have a retirement. Philippe's retired coming out of Stowe. Campbell's had a great run, and we've got a full safety car. Wow, so with only 4 laps to go in this race, we have a full safety car in the sprint race for Philippe's crash at the exit of Stowe. Philippe's race has fallen apart really, and he's now out of the race. We have a full safety car. Pease is in! Wow, that's a very odd decision from Pease to come into the pit lane. He's at the front of the field in the lead. No one behind him has followed him in. The only driver to go into the pit lane along with him, I think, is Gary. He's the only other one to come in. So Pease coming in, opting to go for the soft tyres, but that is, in my opinion, that's a mistake. He's going to drop so many places, and he'll only have 2 laps to go.
In a race that's been so competitive and overtakes been so hard to come by, I cannot see how Pease can gain out of this there. He's going to have fresh tyres, he's going to be flying, but has he potentially just handed this race win away? And it could go towards some of the other guys there. We know Campbell has penalties. Toxic has also got a penalty, so keep an eye out there because it can all change hands. My oh my. Now, Pease will emerge, surely, 12th position it's going to be. He will surely make up places barring mistakes. But how can he possibly make the ground? We only might have a few laps of green flag racing left. And really, I don't see how this is going to work for Pease. He's going to have to make so much ground against such high quality drivers. Campbell there leading the race now at the front. I cannot see Pease making that back up.
I can't see this one either. I think this is from Peace's side. I think he has thrown away the win here. He looked dead set to win the race. The 2 drivers behind him on the field had penalties. So even if they had passed him, he would have re-got them on penalties anyway. And he had a buffer back to the next person who was his closest challenger, which was Miami. He's got rid of that buffer. He's now down into 12th place. And because of how far back some of the drivers are, Tim hasn't even started lap 8 of this race as of yet. So it's going to be a while before he catches a safety car queue. I don't think we're going to have DRS again in this race. We won't have enough laps left in this race to get DRS again. So Pease won't have that in his toolbox to gain back places. So I don't see Pease getting any higher than maybe 8th in this race. He's going to have to hope for a lot of carnage up front. But other than that, it just doesn't seem like this is going to work out for Pease at all.
We'll see if he can possibly make miracles work here at Silverstone, but he's got an awful long road ahead of him. Now, we queue up behind the safety car. I think that we are required to have at least 3 laps of green flag racing at the end of a safety car period. So it will come in surely at the end. Actually, wait, no, I think it will only be 2 laps then if I can actually do maths yet. So we will have 2 laps of racing after that there. I think it's 3 laps in F1. So that's going to make even less time for overtakes to come through. And of course, no DRS will be in play. So the drivers are going to, as you'd say, do it the old-fashioned way. We'll see if they can make overtakes happen. Certainly, Toxic will be so desperate to get in front of Campbell and try and gain any places he can with that penalty that's going to come into play. So really, the real battle is, Can he possibly pull out a gap, or could Miami be heading for a race win? But he still has drivers like Larkin, Verstappen, Jayco right there with him and pressuring him in any move. All three drivers are clean in this race, so Miami does have a really, really good chance. I pointed him out as a driver to watch, and he does have such a good opportunity here, but he has the championship leader on his tail. You can't get much more pressure than that. So keep an eye out, because this could be a nail-biter to close out the sprint race. Miami 5 could be on for a shock victory here, but there's still so much in his way. We'll get back to racing too soon. 2 laps will be to the checkered flag. The question is, can Miami hang on to this? At the moment, you think he's in the pound seat, but it can all change.
Yeah, it's all going to be dependent on whether Larkin goes to the move and whether Toxic can break 3 seconds to the drivers behind. At the moment, with everyone closing in, this is going to cost Campbell and Toxic a number of places here. So, prime opportunity for Larkin to regain the points he lost in the feature race here. This is prime opportunity for him to take a win away from a week where he's not looked really as competitive as we have seen him so far this season. He has been fast, but not quite at the front like we're used to seeing from Larkin. He's kind of struggled to really keep with the Trident cars in the feature race, so let's see if he can get through. Safety car is in this lap, so we'll get 2 laps of racing. No DRS will be enabled. Freak looks like he's just going to close onto the back of the queue before they get going again. Tim, unfortunately, will not in 18th place, so he won't be able to close in. Campbell then is going to lead them to the safety car restart. Miami has to just keep within penalty range of Toxic and Campbell in front to take his first race win of the season, and what a result that would be from him. What a confidence booster, and Campbell's already gone. He had a high speed coming out of this on the safety car restart, and he's already gone coming out of Stowe towards the Vale Club chicane. Good start from Campbell. Is there ready to pounce, though. He's close enough coming through up to Abbey. He's had a great run through the final corner up towards Abbey. Miami runs third, but Larkin is looking fast as well. He's had a brilliant safety car restart. They've left Verstappen for dust. Verstappen caught napping, and J. Cole's on the back of him as well. So it's 2 by 2 by 2 as they come into the middle infield section of the lap. Campbell still leads ahead of Toxic in second place. Miami holds on to third for the time being, ahead of Larkin in fourth. Larkin's not going to be close enough, and there's no DRS. Campbell wobbles coming out of the farm village section through Aintree and up onto the Wellington straight. Toxic might be close enough to make a lunge down into Brooklands, but he's going to have to be really late on the brakes to do so. He is late on the brakes, but again, not close enough to make the move stick. Larkin similarly in fourth place, can't get the move done on Miami, so he stays in fourth for the time being. At the moment, they're doing a disaster. Picks up a time penalty, but even if he does gain the places, he's going to drop them all again, and he's only passed Ryan at this point in the race. He's not made enough ground yet at all. Toxic up the inside of Cops, but again, not close enough into the corner to make the move on Campbell. Campbell holds the lead for the time being. Miami doing enough to hold on to a net race victory here ahead of Larkin, and Verstappen currently running in a net third place. Jared Cole in sixth, of Elf in seventh. Elf, though, has a time penalty himself as well, so it looks like Toxic's going to drop into maybe sixth here with his penalty if it stays like this. Gary picks up a time penalty as well. He was another one to put the soft tyres on. He's not gained any ground either, so it's not working out for the soft runners. And Pease has actually gone off the road. Pease has spun coming through Chapel for what could have been a guaranteed victory for Pease.
Oh, Larkin! Larkin has a run to the outside going towards the middle. Comes again very, very late. Miami doesn't give him much space, and the championship leader runs wide, and Miami cuts across his nose. That was so aggressive from Miami 5, right on the limit, and he is desperate to try and hold out for this there. He has position at the moment. Can he hold on to it, though? Surely Larkin will be furiously charging at him, and Verstappen, Jaco, and Elf, they've all concentrated up, and they're back in this. Pease is retired in the pit lane in a disastrous spiral of events, but look at the race leaders out on track. Campbell again, wobbling, going on to the Wellington straight. Toxic right under his rear wing, trying to make moves, going down towards Brooklyn. Is their last gasp overtake? He looks for the move, but just hangs back. He cannot quite find it. Toxic at the moment could be dropping well down the field here. Miami holding on, but Larkin is so close. He can almost taste the race win, but he has to try and get this move done. Miami's not made it easy at all, and towards Cops, two potential race leaders are almost side by side. Larkin right outside has to yield last minute. Miami just holds it on the inside, and Toxic still attacking Campbell. If they come together, Verstappen can go through. Who knows what can transpire with half a lap to go here at Silverstone. It's been an incredible night of racing here, and the fight for the win is not over. Larkin this time right with him, going down the hangar straight. This could be his last, it could be his only opportunity, but he's right there, and he's going to go for it. Down the inside there for the race victory. They're all wheel to wheel now, going through Stowe. Miami trying to hold him, and Larkin has those in front, but Miami has the inside line going down towards Vale. This is down to the wire here, but Miami holds it. Can Larkin find a desperate switchback on the inside? Here he comes. He's going to go for it. Last corner, wheel to the line. Who's going to get it? Larkin has done it. There was penalties for Miami anyway, so Larkin, by the slimmest of margins, has done it. I didn't even clock the penalty for Miami. And one of the most dramatic finishes you could ever see. Larkin takes such an important win. Toxic ends up fourth in the end. Jaco Verstappen on the podium as well. My oh my, what a conclusion here to the British Grand Prix, but Larkin has hung on to it, and he could potentially take that. That is so important for his championship. He has won here in the sprint, the sprint race. I can barely get my words out now, my words.
What a drive from those drivers. That was incredibly well read from Larkin to read the situation, wait for the right moment and steal it on the line. You didn't clock Miami's penalty because Miami got it on the line at the last corner because he got forced off. He got run wide by Larkin. The two of them going side by side through that corner meant Miami understeered off the track and got the penalty just as he crossed the line. So that's where he's lost out on his first podium of the season. He drops down into, I believe, 5th place in the end after that one. But Larkin, a crucial victory after a dominant race victory for Toxic in the feature race. Larkin recovers with a sprint race victory. That's exactly what he needs to do to try and keep his championship lead. Verstappen with a podium in 2nd place. J. Cole in his first round gets his first podium as well. What a debut race. What a debut week this has been for J. Cole. Great stuff from him. Toxic ends up in 4th after that penalty ahead of Miami, who drops to 5th. Campbell drops to 6th even with 2-time penalties, so he got away with it. JD Nolan in 7th with a penalty himself, I believe, as well. Let's just double check when that flashes up. He did. Alex ends up in 8th with no penalties at all, so he gained a lot at the end of that one. Elf drops to 9th in the end, but he has the fastest lap of the race with a 39.6. Let's see what he can do maybe next time out. If he races next time out, he's got brilliant speed, so he could challenge for maybe a race victory next time out. Gary rounds off the top 10 ahead of Jordan in 11th. Good recovery, having dropped to the back of the field at the start of the race. Freak in 12th ahead of Tun 13th. Ryan 14th. Chill 15th. What a week to forget for Chill. Ahead of Tim in 16th. Ibbo 17th. Pease, that could have been the race victory for Pease. It was in the palm of his hands and he threw it away with a pit stop at the end and a retirement. So Pease in 18th, not going to pick up any points. Philippe in 19th and Maverick not finishing. 3 drivers all really with what could have been today. Pease, Philippe and Maverick, all top 10 contenders, not having the week they would have wanted and not picking up the points that they feel they should have deserved today. What a chaotic sprint race. That was a brilliant one. And Larkin in the end steals victory away from Miami on the line.
That is possibly the most dramatic thing. I thought that Miami had it there. He broke so late into Vale, but ultimately just left the door open, and Larkin, a beautifully timed switchback overtake, made it work. And he crossed the line, I think, only a quarter of a tenth ahead of him. About 200th of a second was the margin over the line. Of course, Miami was unlucky to get the penalty. Maybe he could try and get that removed. My oh my, what a night of racing yet again here in F2. It never fails to surprise, and yeah, I have thoroughly enjoyed this one. Yeah, it never fails to surprise. I'm not sure if I actually got that right, but anyway.
That like you say, it is an incredible. It's been an incredible season so far, and I believe we've only just passed that. We're not even at the halfway point yet in this season, which is crazy to think. We've had this much action already. We've still got, I think, 10 rounds to go. So, so much waiting for us coming into the next rounds of the season. What a race again today. I wouldn't say it was as good as Austria. That Austrian sprint race was amazing, but once again, that was a brilliant race in these guys. Hats off, great racing throughout the field. We didn't see really any contact that was worthy of any sort of penalties in that one. Maybe a few on the opening lap of the sprint race, but other than that, what a drive from everyone in the field today. Before we finish off the stream though, I don't know how you're going to decide this one, but who are you going to pick as driver of the day today?
I think, well, it may not have been as good as Austria in terms of entertainment. I will say it was probably the most high quality round of the championship that we've seen. So it's very difficult to call. I'm going to say I'm torn between 3 drivers here, but I'm actually going to say Verstappen just for sheer consistency up at the front. I think that I think he was so close to the victory as well in the sprint race. Toxic and Larkin also drove brilliantly, as you'd expect from them. And yeah, but also you had some of the other lights. Campbell was up there in both the races. We saw Pease up until that crucial mistake made a great recovery from a disastrous qualifying, and you also had Jaco, great debut from Elf, very feisty debut from him. So it's just been such a fun race to watch, and I can't wait to see how the next round unfolds. As will the rest of the season. I can't wait to see how that all shapes up.
That it's going to be a great end to the season that's coming up. Next round is at Hungary, so a completely different track to this one. Qualifying is going to be very, very crucial at Hungary, and as is the race strategy as well. We didn't see a lot of alternate strategies today, but I imagine we'll probably see quite a lot of alternate strategies in Hungary, because that is the best way to overtake there. So look out for that one to be a very, very interesting race. I think for driver of the day for me, I'm going to have to go for Jaco. I think obviously we saw a lot of great driving from the likes of Verstappen, and Miami really stood out today as well. It was his best round of the season so far. But for a debut race for Jaco to jump in the car and be that competitive straight away, that is a brilliant drive from him. So he takes my driver of the day today. Shout out to him. I'm sure he'll be pretty pleased with that one. So great stuff from him, and his first podium of the season in only his second race. So great stuff from him. And that is where we're going to end the stream today, guys. Thank you everyone for tuning into the stream. Thank you everyone for taking part in the race today. Thank you everyone for commenting. Thank you as well to Verstappen for joining us at the start of the stream for our quick little interview. And as well, thank you Daka for joining me in the commentary box. As always, it is a pleasure to commentate alongside you. And you can watch us again tomorrow. Me and Daka are commentating once again tomorrow for the Esports Masters League. We will be taking over League 1 at 8 PM on League Racing TV. A lot of people that you saw today will be racing, so tune in and support some of your drivers from your team or people that you know. That's going to be a really, really great thing to watch. And it was, I mean, last time we commentated over it, it was a great event. So it's sure to be another great event tomorrow. So that is where we're going to round off. Like I said, from myself and Daka, it is thank you very much and goodbye.